28 Olympic medals, the most decorated Olympian in history. And yet Michael Phelps has said he felt most human during his darkest depressive episodes, not on the podium, not breaking world records, in the void after. This isn't a story about athletic excellence. It's a clinical study of what happens when your brain can only function inside one narrow channel. When success isn't a goal, it's a survival mechanism. When the thing that makes you great is the same thing that threatens to destroy you. This is about identity foreclosure, about ADHD as obsession fuel, about the post-gold depressive cycle that nobody warns you about. Stick with me, because what you'll discover might explain the high-functioning person in your life who seems to have it all together but is barely holding on. Michael Phelps was diagnosed with ADHD at 7. Teachers said he'd never amount to anything. He couldn't sit still, couldn't focus. His brain was static, constant sensory noise with no off switch. Then he found water. The pool wasn't a passion. It was an accidental discovery of sensory deprivation. When you submerge yourself, the world goes quiet, no visual overstimulation, no competing sounds, just the hum of your own movement. For an ADHD brain that can't filter stimuli, water creates the silence it cannot generate internally. This is what psychologists call intolerance of uncertainty. ADHD brains seek extreme structure to compensate for internal chaos. Phelps found his structure: swim, eat, sleep, repeat. For 6 years straight, he didn't take a single day off. Not Christmas, not birthdays, not when he was sick. People called it discipline. It wasn't. It was dependency. His coach, Bob Bowman, became what clinicians call an external hard drive. Phelps outsourced his entire executive function to routine. Bowman didn't just train him, he regulated him, told him when to eat, when to sleep, what to think about before a race. Phelps's brain couldn't do that on its own, so the system did it for him. The 6-year streak wasn't about becoming the best swimmer in the world. It was about staying regulated. The pool was his Ritalin, the routine was his therapist. And the medals? They were just proof the system was working. But here's the clinical problem. When your coping mechanism is also your identity, you can't separate the two. Phelps wasn't a person who swims. He was a swimmer who occasionally had to be a person. And that distinction, that's where the pathology begins. The psychological trade was clear: silence the noise, but only if you never stop swimming. The moment the structure disappears, the static returns. And it's louder than before. This is how ADHD doesn't just drive obsession, it demands it. The brain that can't regulate itself will find something that can. And once it does, it will grip that thing until its knuckles turn white. Because letting go isn't just scary, it's existential. Post-Olympic depression isn't sadness, it's withdrawal. After Beijing in 2008, Phelps had just won 8 gold medals. He'd done something no human had ever done. And 6 weeks later, he didn't want to be alive. This is what clinicians call a foreclosed identity. It means you never explored who you are outside one role. You skipped the part of adolescence where you try on different selves. You went straight from "I don't know who I am" to "I am this one thing." And that one thing better keep working, because you have no backup plan. Phelps didn't party after 2008 because he was celebrating. He partied because the structure was gone and he didn't know what else to do. The world saw rebellion. Therapists saw identity collapse. He's spoken about suicidal ideation during this period. And from a clinical standpoint, that makes perfect sense. If Michael Phelps the swimmer no longer exists, what does? The medals don't answer that question. They never could. They were never the goal. They were proof the regulatory system was still intact. This is the trap of high-functioning survival. From the outside, it looks like drive, ambition, excellence. From the inside, it's just the least painful way to get through the day. And when the thing that kept you regulated disappears, you don't feel sad. You feel like you're dying. The 2012 Olympics were worse. He won 4 golds. Still felt empty. Still couldn't make sense of why the medals didn't fill the void. After his second DUI and a stint in rehab, he finally said it out loud. I wasn't happy with who I was. Not I wasn't happy with my performance, with who I was. Because the swimmer was a costume, not a person, and he'd been wearing it so long he didn't know what was underneath. Gold medals don't fix identity foreclosure, they just delay the reckoning, because eventually you have to stop swimming. And when you do, you have to meet yourself for the first time. That's terrifying when you're 30 years old and you've never done it before. The uncomfortable truth for some people, extreme success is just high-functioning survival. It's not ambition, it's regulation. It's the thing their brain needs to stay quiet. This pattern isn't unique to Phelps. It's visible in any field where obsession is rewarded. The startup founder who can't stop working, the surgeon who can't retire, the artist who creates until they collapse. They're not chasing greatness. They're avoiding the static. The real question isn't why Phelps struggled. It's how he survived as long as he did. Because when your identity is your coping mechanism, you're not building a life, you're building a cage. And the gold medals are just bars. Phelps didn't retire from swimming. He had to learn to exist without the structure that kept him intact. No lesson here. No inspiration. Just the recognition that what we call greatness often costs more than we see.